This is Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed are those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given is not intended to replace that of your business advisor. Now, let's get down to talking about your business, your success. This is Business Talk.
All right, Peg, good afternoon.
Well, good afternoon. Good to be here.
Yes, wonderful. We had a rough football week in the past week. Oh, my goodness.
Yes, we have.
The state of Ohio, the Bengals, the Browns, the Buckeyes.
I
Holy
know.
cow.
It normally doesn't go that bad for
all
us.
right, well, we're bouncing back, right?
Right. and so Pete and I are business coaches, and here today we're going to talk about, our topic today is all about sales, and we'll call it the Sales Bible.
Sure.
And that's a Jeffrey Gitomer title.
Right.
Jeffrey Gitomer is a world-renowned speaker.
And author, and we've seen him speak before, and he's very good.
Oh, he knows what he's doing.
He writes some great books, and his books are very tactical. You can take this book, open it to a page, look at the information, use it immediately. You don't have to read the whole book. You can just grab some stuff.
And his books, and he talks, like when he talks about how he writes his books, when we saw him speak, he talks about how he spends just as much time on the layout as he does on the product itself and the words, because he believes that the layout will help you follow. And so his layout of books are a little different. They're easy to read, and there's
my gosh, yeah.
It's big words, and it's bullet points, and it's really
pictures and charts and graphs.
So Jeffrey Gitomer has written multiple books. One, he's really well known for the Little Red Book of Selling.
Right.
It's probably one of his best. And then he's got the
Teal Book of Trust, I think.
Yes, he does. Right. And then the Sales Bible, and he has many other books. But those are just a few.
And he's a great speaker. If you can ever catch him live, I would do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So before that, though, Pete, you've done some research on some good news.
We got a lot of good news.
Tell us what's going on.
And you don't hear all these facts at other radio stations. I mean, motorhome sales are up.
You are not going to hear that anywhere else.
You're just not.
You're not going to
the
hear
biggest
that.
ones, and there's a little drawing of them, Peg. You can see the type. These gigantic motorhomes, they're Class A motorhomes. We sold the United States. They sold 23,343 of them last year. It was only 3% up since 2016. That's not that much. Class B, though, 5,200 of them were sold. Those are somewhat smaller. They were up 28% from the previous year. And Class C, which is a different shape type thing, it's like a camper attached to a motorhome. That's up 21%, and they sold 34,000 units. So anyway, the economy is good. People are on the road.
And we were talking to Pete. I've got some news. It's usually you, but one of our clients sees an economist, because you always, as a president or as a leader,
for therapy and stuff.
Sees an economist for therapy?
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sorry, I'm not following your joke, Pete. I hate it when you have to explain it.
That means it's not really a joke.
Okay.
That's what that means.
When you have to say, what? So one of our clients went and saw an economist. And, as a leader, one of the things you need to do is always understand, your job is to figure out what's about to happen before it happens. That's one of your top things. Yeah, you're looking out. We had a meeting last week about this, and he was saying that economy is going to be good. The economists are looking, and we should see some slow times starting next year in fourth quarter. Next year around fourth quarter, and this is in the building industry. And that's where it starts first. Mm-hmm. So, so we've got a good year. In other words, we've got a good year of growth. Let's go after it. So
great.
So okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So next thing, this is a quick one. Now, Brooklyn. I don't know when the last time you've been in Brooklyn, Alan, our esteemed producer, but they just sold a penthouse for $20 million. It's the priciest home ever sold in the borough. They were asking $22.75 million, and it sold for $20 million. The current record was set at $15.5 million. So anyway, prices in Brooklyn are going up. So people they can buy anything they want anywhere in that city.
And once again, you would never hear that on any other radio station.
You're just not going to get that.
You're not going to get that kind of thing. See, here we create some unique messaging
We're
and
into
materials.
the obscure.
Yes.
Yep.
What
and
else?
U.S. job openings exceed 7 million. We've got more job openings than we have people who are available to work.
Right.
I mean, that's continuing.
And that's continuing. That has been our theme of our shows. And just so you know, if you're listening to us and you say, I want to hear more shows, or how did I find you? how do I find you? We have a website, takeactionbusinesscoaching.com.
Right.
And when you click on that, you can click on the 98.9 logo.
The icon.
The
there,
icon
yes.
logo. And you can go to all of our shows, because in our shows in the past, they're all archived. It talks about retention of employees, interviewing,
All
onboarding,
sorts of topic,
engaging, leadership. Last time we talked about triggers, which was about behavior and sustainable behavior change.
Right.
Okay, so go
So
ahead.
next one, and this is related to your comment earlier about the economy. According to this person, this gentleman was the President's Council of Economic Advisors to chairman from 2006 to 2009. He's a professor at Stanford University's Graduate School of Business.
I'd say he's
And
smart. Like
he's a smart guy.
He's probably a smart guy.
Some of this stuff is like, again, obscure. But he said the U.S. unemployment rate declined to 3.7%. It hasn't been seen. That rate has not been around for 50 years. However, what he said is that we don't need to worry yet that the economy is overheating. In other words, if it overheats, then the Fed's going to crank down interest rates so much that we'll get into a recession. Well, this gentleman doesn't think that's going to happen, at least in the next few months. And he suggests that job creation is just about keeping up with population growth, that the U.S. economy needs about 137,000 jobs a month just to keep up with population growth. And in the last 3 months, we've created over 190,000 jobs. What he's saying is there's enough slack in the job pool. There are people on the sidelines that are coming in that are sucking up those jobs, and it's not inflationary at this point. And he also said that the productivity growth is averaging about 1.3%. If you add that to the target inflation rate, it means 3.3% is what you'd expect wages to increase. They've only gone up by 2.8% in the last year.
But that's good for people to know who are looking at raises, is what I'm hearing, the cost of living kind of thing.
Yeah, and it means
around
that we're
3%-ish.
not at a point where we should worry about having a big recession coming, according to this person.
And
So who
according
knows,
to the person, I didn't tell you this part when they said, that it will in third or fourth quarter it starts slowing down. Not to recession. Absolutely said the same thing.
Just slowing down.
Just slowing down.
Yeah,
Not in any way are we in need of panicking. It's just going to
No panicking
it
out
may
there.
slow down the pace, which is going to be okay. It's going to start leveling off a little bit, and that's okay because we're at a good pace.
Well, and there are some of our clients I'm thinking about. I'm just going through a mental list that there are a few of them that are actually stressed some because of the amount of work they have to do.
It's
They're
a lot.
overloaded.
Right. And the majority of all of our clients are right now. So if you are in that situation, bringing on a business
there,
coach
man.
is the best thing you can do. I'm telling you. It will help you really, I guess, leverage what you have in a time of good is accelerated.
Right.
So, okay, one more? Or
So,
how
so
many
the
more?
last thing, well, this is a topic, and this is not necessarily good news, but I want to remind folks that this is an article titled, "The Best Bosses Are Humble Bosses." I really like this because it said that humility is a core quality of leaders who inspire teamwork, rapid learning, and high performance on their teams. And the best bosses are bosses that are humble. And it's linked to lower turnover and lower absenteeism. And we are, Peg and I are challenged with helping our clients to lower turnover and to keep great employees and to keep absenteeism low. And they just said that if people that exhibit humility are much better leaders. And even when you're interviewing people, we want to be looking for those types of things. How did they treat the receptionist when they came in? Are they able to admit a time when they failed at work and tell you a story about how they overcame it, or what did they learn from that? If they can do those kind of things, they're more likely to be a great employee.
Well, in a couple shows ago, we talked about George Washington and how ego has to be checked at the door.
And he was very strong. However, he was very humble.
Well, and it was only because apparently he was an ego guy. And in the past, it had gotten in his way. And he had learned to overcome it and realized that it was preventing him from doing some great things. So that humility is a good thing with, I love that. We talk about that
these
often.
guys did Dr. Lee and Michael Ashton, a psychology professor at Brock University in St. Catharines, Ontario, surveyed a lot of people, and they've come up with a whole bunch of things that tell them. They did a study of 326 employees working at 770 teams at a healthcare company, and assessing managers. Teams with humble leaders perform better, did higher quality work than teams whose leaders exhibited less humility, according to these guys. And they've got a quote in here. It says from St. Francis of Assisi, this is a good one, where there is patience and humility, there's neither anger nor vexation.
You don't
and
hear
we
that
do want
every
to
day.
stamp out vexation.
That vexation.
You don't hear
that.
that every day.
You don't hear that every day. I like that vexation. But that is so true. Right. And that's what we constantly are talking about is maintaining control.
Yeah, being calm.
Right. Being inspiring. And when you're losing control, that's not good, and that usually gets your ego in a way. When your ego gets in the way, you're gonna hear it. And we do hear that because we have a lot of people that we coach do have big egos,
right.
And we work with that.
Companies with humble chief CEOs are more likely than others to have upper management teams that work smoothly together and help each other.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more business talk.
All right, so we're talking today about the Sales Bible by Jeffrey Gitomer. It's a dark blue book, and it is full of great advice.
It is.
It really is.
It is, and if you have a sales team or selling yourself, and what we say is everybody is selling. You're selling if you're a mom. Because you're selling your kids on what to do.
Right.
You are selling if you're in a relationship.
If you're a manager, you're getting inspiring people to do things on their own without you.
Right. And so sales is a part of our everyday.
It is.
Everyday life.
It's
every
influence.
day.
It's about influence.
It is about influence. Yeah. So in the next few segments, what we want to do is we're going to walk away with strategies and ideas on how you can help increase your sales influence.
Well, one of the things we challenge all of you guys to do is to read. And this book is a very easy read. I mean, you could pick it up and read one chapter and work on it for a month, and then pick it up and read another chapter and do the same thing. Right. And it's not going to be 10 hours to read it. You can read it quickly.
And, it was interesting, Pete. I was talking to one of our clients the other day that we coach, and I was talking about, as a leader, and he's a fairly new leader, and I said, how much are you challenging your team to grow? Because the way to really evolve and to really do well is to grow. Mm-hmm. And to grow is to learn. And that's by reading or listening to a podcast or listening to an audiobook or picking up a Harvard Business Review. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it does need to be something that's challenging you to grow.
Well, and think about our clients. The majority of them are growing 10 to 30%, depending on who we're talking about. And they're busy at work, and they still have to find time. The best ones still find time to learn. They go to conferences with us. They go and learn. They're reading books. They're applying what they learned at work because they know that the only way we're going to grow into this business growth is to grow personally.
Right. Exactly. So, good. Yeah. Okay, so where are we starting here, Pete?
Well, let's start with one of the things, and Gitomer's great because he makes things succinct. He nails things, and he just makes bullet points. So one of them is these 10.5 commandments of sales, is that the number one is think. Okay. And what he means is the sale is in your head or not in your head.
And it's so interesting because that is absolutely the first thing we say. And when we go in and do sales training, which we do, if you're interested in us doing some sales training for your team, the first thing we do is we say we have to work on you first.
Mindset.
Yeah, it's mindset. Thank you.
Yeah, and positivity, right? You actually need to be positive.
Whatever you think is right is right.
Right. So that's a step number one.
I like that step number one.
Thinking about, well, what is my attitude today? What am I thinking about this client? Is it positive or negative? What am I thinking about the product or service that I'm providing for them? What are my thoughts about that?
Well, and it's interesting because when we go into companies, I just want to tell you that I'm going to give you an example. So we were working with a heating and cooling company, and we were working with the sales team. And this isn't somebody here locally. It was in another city. But they were one person was not, you can sell on add-on products. Like if you need a filter to clean your air, that would be an add-on sale.
Okay.
Different things that you needed. And this gentleman wasn't selling right. I mean, wasn't selling those products correctly. Like he was having zero. And finally we sat down and said, I'm making up the name. James, what's going on? And he goes, well, I believe in my mind, this is mindset, that these aren't good products, and I think
there's no value there.
There's no value, number one. Number two, I think that all we're trying to do is make money, and it's too expensive for the client.
And a belief,
and which is your mindset. And one of the things that we said is, and then the gentleman who was the owner had sold this, and he goes, "Do you understand why I carry those products, James?" And he goes, "Why?" And he goes, "Because my children have breathing issues, and allergies.
Yeah,
they have breathing issues and allergies, and that this product actually can help save their lives." Like, that's why you need to make sure that people understand that there's a product there.
There's a reason for it.
There's a reason that people can't. And so in his mind, he was just sitting there going, well, we're just trying to milk people for all they have. Right. They didn't realize that it's actually, as a salesperson, you're a service. You're delivering a service, and you're giving them something that will make their life better.
So you've got to educate, too.
Right. It was good.
Right. That's good that you bring that up. So the second one is believe.
Yeah, there we go. Believe.
Yeah, isn't that funny? So, and well, how he puts it is to believe in your company, right? The company you're working for, or if it's yours, your own company, your product or your service, if you're selling a service thing instead of a thing, and yourself, or you're not gonna succeed.
That is a good one. And to your point of believing, it's important for you, if you're a sales manager or a manager, it's for you to describe to your team what the product is and the why behind it. And if they still don't believe, in this case, and there was another case where they still didn't believe, then go and get proof and show them. Because beliefs are broken and built based on proof. So if you can have an example of a family that said, this product really did help me, however it was, so that they can understand. So you have to break that down.
Well, that concept comes from another book that you have quoted before, and I'm trying to think of the title of it, but it's Social Proof.
Oh, it's called,
It's the Weapons of Influence,
yes,
right?
It's a Psychology of Influence. I'm mispronouncing his name. I got to figure out how to pronounce it, but it's Dr. Caldini. It's CHIALDINI. Something like that. Yeah, and he also wrote a book called Yes, which is
very good.
They're both really excellent books on Psychology of Influence and Yes. And I think Yes is got a red cover, and the Psychology of Influence is a white cover. But he does talk about that.
Yeah. So one exercise you could do, and don't do this if you're driving, but you could write down questions. Why do I believe in my company? Why do I believe in my product and or service? And why do I believe in myself? Write them down.
And so what we're going to do is I'm going to have Pete do this again, because this would be a great learning topic as a sales manager for your sales team.
Gosh, yeah.
So in your next sales meeting, we're going to repeat this again that you've got it.
And here they go. Why do I believe my company? Why do I believe in my products and services or services? Why do I believe in myself? And then here's the last one is, why do I think my customer, the person I'm sitting across from, is going to be better off after they've purchased whatever it is I'm selling?
If you took time to do this,
to think through it, yeah.
Taking the time to truly have passion and have your team have passion about what you're selling and the services you're selling. Right. You know, it's interesting because we get to coach other coaches around the world. And when a person comes on as a coach, and Pete and I, this is Business Talk, and we're business and executive coaches and been working with companies for 14 years now. And when you have somebody new, that belief is probably one of our biggest challenges, because they question whether they really can help people.
Well, and the interesting thing about this is this can sabotage you without you even knowing that it's happening.
That's true. That's called self-sabotage. Yeah. But that belief exercises are really, really excellent.
The other thing he mentions in here, again, this is from Jeffrey Gitomer, his Sales Bible, and he says that to become proficient, every time you visit a customer, let's say when you're done with the meeting and you get in your car, ask them before you do that is why they believe in you or your company or your product. Ask them. Ask the people that have already bought from you.
See, that's going back to get proof, because if you have your people telling you why, like I'll never forget when we bought my car. If that person said, why'd you like that car? I could have told them a zillion reasons. I love this car because it has this and this and this. Yeah. I love that car.
Right.
Love the car. And so that is a great exercise, again, because a lot of times in sales, what happens is we're like the machine that's producing the product, right? It's up to the person. And sometimes it's the person that's really getting in the way.
Yep. Yeah. So we're asking you out there to take a look at your belief system.
Right.
What do you believe?
Right. That's a good one.
All right.
Okay, that's a good one, Pete. All right.
That's number two. The next one And this is obvious, I would hope, is engage. To develop rapport and personal engagement processes, or don't start the selling conversation.
So what we want to do is we call it earn the right. What we want you to do is to build, we always talk about if you were to call up on a date, would you run off and say, let's go, A, get married, or B, even let's go out to dinner? No, what you want to do is maybe have a conversation first.
Yeah.
And then maybe have a cup of coffee or a drink.
So you're earning the right.
Yes. Yep. And so what you're doing is you're creating a nice relationship of understanding and a foundation before you go right to marry me. So before you were saying, sell me, or buy this, I want to sell you, you're going to build that relationship.
Yeah, and he's suggesting engaging your person you're attempting to help with questions and make them smile, make a friend, establish rapport, and hopefully find what he calls a link. What's a common thing that we both believe or both appreciate?
And one of the things
enjoy?
I want to talk about questions right here when you first start a relationship in sales. We talk about all of this in our sales training, by the way. And one of the things we talk about is you're always here, ask open-ended questions. And what that means is you want to ask a question that creates a conversation other than a yes or no answer.
Right.
One of the books that we read and that one of the trainings we really support is a book called Question-Based Selling by Thomas Fries, which I really like. And he talks about, which I completely endorse and have executed, is you ask closed-ended questions first before earning the right to ask deeper questions.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So in other words, you're going to ask a yes or no answer or question that gets a yes or no answer first, so that then as you start
building rapport,
you can dig in deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how we can start creating our relationship and creating connection.
The customer is making a judgment on you from the moment you enter the door. That's one thing. It sounds like common sense, but we have to remember that.
Well, and it was funny. I was teaching Allie and Lauren the other day. I was listening to one of the TED Talks, which was a fabulous TED Talk on working with a team, and they called it the 5 and 10 foot rule. I love this 5 and 10 foot rule.
5 and 10 foot rule. Okay.
So when you're 10 feet away, you must smile.
Okay.
At anyone. At 10 feet away, whether you want to or not, you smile at anyone 10 feet away.
Smiling to Alan, our producer.
By the time you're 5 feet away, you say hello.
Oh.
It's a 10 and 5.
Okay.
And if everybody does that, it creates a more positive, friendly, and actually an engaging culture, as well as an open and approachable person. So it's the 5 and 10. So I'll talk to a lot of people who are drivers or analyticals and say, remember 10 and 5, because they don't do that naturally.
That's good. One of the things he points out here, Gitomer, is things to avoid. And if you talk about your flat tire or the problems that you're having, you're going to lose chances for rapport. It's going to reduce your probability of building rapport with somebody, unless they just had a flat tire too.
Well, that is true. We had somebody, Pete, who we were interviewing. And here's a tip for whenever you're interviewing someone, you have a greeter there who says, how was your day? Because that's the interview before the interview.
That's a great open-ended question, right?
And so she rolled out somebody because she said, how was your day? And she was like, oh, I've been so busy and the traffic was so rough. And it was like immediately she was like, she's out. Like, that's
she's
not
negative.
Yeah, that's not who we want.
So another thing you can do is think about the last sale. Now, we always like to, once you get back in the car or you get back however you're getting back to your office, is stop and take a moment and replay the call and think about what went well, and were you friendly in the beginning, and did you feel comfortable when you were just engaging the person in conversation?
Could your business use some help? Call 614-306-7922 to schedule your coaching session. 614-306-7922. Now, here's more business talk.
Okay, we're talking about the Sales Bible from Jeffrey Gitomer, who we really enjoy seeing speak. If you get a chance to see him, I would jump on it. He's
Absolutely.
very good. And one of the things that he suggested...
And we should spell Gitomer, because a lot of people don't know if you're going to search it.
It's Gitomer. Jeffrey
And Jeffrey is with a J.
Yes, Jeffrey is a J. J-E-F-F-R-E-Y.
Because if you're trying to Google or something like that, you might mess up. So
Sales Bible. Yep. And anyway, one of the last things he says, think about your last few sales calls. And I like to do it like immediately after you're done. That's the best time to do it because it's fresh in your memory. Peg, you remember everything from like a year ago. You know what shirt I had on, what row, each person in a workshop. You know where they were sitting.
I do
right?
remember.
You have a picture.
I do remember.
But when you think about the last sale, and this is about building rapport, was it friendly? Were you friendly? Did you feel comfortable when you began the first portion of the meeting when you described how it was going to go? And was it meaningful dialogue? Was it something that where you felt the other person was really engaged easily?
I like that. Give yourself a grade.
Yep.
And that's why I like us, a lot of times going to people on a sales call, if it makes sense, is really good just to get the feedback loop. Yeah, for them to grade each other and say, how do you honestly think we did?
All right, so we're moving on to number 4.
Okay, number 4. And so for those of us who just joined us, what is number 4 of?
Oh, it's of 10.5. It's out of Jeffrey Gitomer's Sales Bible, but it's out of 10.5 commandments of sales success.
Okay, yes. All right, so we're at number 4.
We're number 4, and it's discover. And his subnote here says, people buy for their reasons, not yours. Find out theirs first.
Because I think one thing that you tend to want to do is when you walk into, and we know this because we do coach a lot of salespeople, a lot of teams, and they get so excited they want to share their product. Look at this. I've got this, and this.
Right.
And,
right. The salesperson does.
Right.
And that's not why they're there.
No, you need to understand, because you can talk yourself right out of a sale if you start talking about what your product is before understanding what the need is. Because you might not fit that. And what we need to understand is what is it that we need to help and I always look at salespeople as helpers. What can I do to help you to get whatever it is you need? But it wouldn't be by me talking. It would be by me listening and discovering.
And asking great questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So he's rattled off some things here. One of them is their motive. You need to figure out what is it at the heart that would encourage them to proceed with you.
I got it. Yes.
And so you need to learn that.
That's sort of finding the pain, basically.
Yeah.
We call that finding the pain, or understanding what is it that they're dissatisfied with that. And sometimes people aren't dissatisfied because they don't know what they don't know.
That's true. That's very true.
Until you create some questions around.
Yeah, we have a client that, and these are in a couple of different parts of the country. These clients sell capital equipment for collision repair centers. And they get to the pain by asking questions about productivity. How many cars, how many man hours does it take to move a car out of here, that type of thing. And if you took a half hour off one of each of these repairs, how much money would that mean? How many more cars could you process in a month?
Right.
Those kind of questions. And when you get to that point, the general manager perks up and goes, oh, I want to learn more about that.
Right.
Tell me about it. Right?
Well, exactly. And discovery is pretty much the real sales. Like, that's the meat and potatoes of it all.
Right.
And if you don't spend the time on that, you're generally not going to convert that person.
So the next thing he suggests is their story. And this is always great because people like to talk about their businesses generally.
Right.
They're usually proud of where they work and how they've built it if it's theirs. And they want to talk about all the experiences they've had leading up to the point that you're sitting in front of them. And their experiences getting theirs. And then their expertise. What is it that they know the most about their business? And how could that help you to help
So
them?
asking questions around that is what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So as we're looking at these 10.5 commandments and saying, okay, it's according to sales, discovery is one of them. In those, great questions to ask would be about the company, how it started, talking about them, and then searching out for the need from that point on.
Yep, and their wisdom. And he's suggesting that it'd be great if you could learn what they've learned and how they've applied their learning, how they've applied their knowledge on the job, and what has it meant to them. It could mean where you're going to help them go next.
Mm-hmm. And here's an idea is for you guys listening, if you have a sales team and you are not having your sales team reading books and then discussing them at your sales meeting, start doing that.
Yeah.
And you could do one book every 6 months.
Right. You'll still read 2 more books than the average person does.
Right.
In a year.
In a year, yes. I mean, we have some clients that do it monthly. There's some that do it quarterly. There's some, but do one book.
Quarterly, twice a year is great.
And what we want you to do is, as your leader, as a manager, you read the book first, and then you determine what's right for your team because you know what your team needs. Mm-hmm. And then you can determine that. And if you need help with what books would be great, Pete and I have a list. We also have read so much that we could recommend it based on your needs. You want to give us a call at
614-306-7922.
And we are, this is Peg and Pete with Business Talk, but we also work with sales teams. So if you're in need of a sales training or a sales assessment, we can do that for you.
Yep. So you want to identify their needs, their wants, their desires, their desire to win. Do they get emotional when they're talking about certain things in the business? Sometimes business owners do. You can tell that's the passion point.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Fears. Sometimes they have things that they're afraid of happening, right? And you can help them with that if you can learn those things.
And again, getting to the pain point is the fear when you're getting there of helping them, understanding their fears, and then having a prescription.
Mm-hmm. And then peace of mind. What's peace of mind mean to them in their business? What would help them be more relaxed when they go home at night or go home for the weekend? And desired outcome, you've got to think about that. Unspoken risk. It's always great if you can take away. They might be thinking of something that you haven't discovered yet. So you've got to have some pretty in-depth conversations about what risks they might perceive with moving forward.
To use your product, the risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I really like that question, because sometimes it could be, and we coach a high-end company that's a high-end product, and it's very risky to switch over to their product because a lot of times people or the board of directors know somebody in their industry. And the risk isn't using the product. It's the relationship with other people to change.
Okay.
So sometimes that risk is, I'm going to make the HR person upset or the president upset or the board of directors upset.
Gotcha.
So searching that out politically can be sometimes a step
that
you need to take.
This next one is about asking questions, and obviously that's the heart of great sales. And
you're under discovery, you mean?
Is about asking questions. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Well, no, that's the next.
Oh, that's the next
thing is
commandment.
ask. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So first is discovery, and then he's saying ask
Mm-hmm.
questions.
Ask the wrong questions, you get the wrong answers. You got to ask the right questions. Questions are at the heart of the sale, right? We all believe
That's
that.
very good. Yeah.
Questions convert the selling process to a buying process.
Because then
You're
they're
helping
talking
them to buy.
Yeah. They're talking
You're
about what
flipping
they
it
need.
around. Questions uncover facts and motives. And most of what's written about asking questions is wrong, and I hope that your competition is using those things.
Wonder what he thinks what's wrong about some of the questions. It'd be interesting.
Well, here's one. He says, please never ask, what's important to you?
Oh, okay.
You find out what's important by asking other questions.
Okay.
Do it indirectly.
That's
the
too
questions
direct.
have to be intelligent.
Okay.
You got to think about these.
Does he have any other ones that you're not allowed to ask?
Ask yourself questions before you ask the customer. If you don't know the answers, don't go on the call. What impacts their business? What things impact their business?
He's saying don't ask that. You should know.
Yeah, you should know this stuff before you walk in. For example, my example of a collision repair center. Well, one of their major profit drivers is productivity, labor hours. How many cars can we move through here with a given number of hours?
Right.
And that is something that will dramatically impact their business, or how well people are trained to make a repair. If they're trained well, they get it done in 6 hours. If they aren't trained well, they get it done in 8 or 10.
I want to repeat this because I think this is really good advice. It's like a lawyer. You ever hear a lawyer should never ask a question he doesn't know the answer to in a trial?
That's the same
idea. Kind of principle
Yeah.
is that you should be doing your research before
and he
you
says,
walk
if you
in the
don't
door.
know these answers, don't go on the call. You are not prepared yet. How did they do last year? How are they doing now? You need to know that. How much more profit could they produce as a result of making this purchase with you? What are their possible motives for buying? Who are you talking to? Is it the decision maker, or someone has to call somebody else? That's an important question.
Well, that is
right?
an important question, even before you have the appointment. And you have to do it in a way where you don't want to say, well, I'm not going to go on the call if the decision's not.
Respectful way.
Respectful way, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Those
What's
are
their
good.
present sense of urgency? Do you have an idea? And what is their experience level?
That's really good. These are good questions. These are excellent questions.
So the next thing, when we get back, we're going to talk about observing. And this is a big relationship focus point, whether it's in a business or it's in a sales role, is you've got to be very observant. Body language, tone of voice, the surroundings. What does the business look like? Is it neat and clean and tidy, or is it the opposite of that? And be looking for everything when you walk into somebody's office or conference room.
So reading the situation by looking at the environment, looking at the person, looking at their team, listening to their tone of voice, because a lot of questions are answered based on that.
Right.
So we'll dive in a little bit more to observing that when we return.
It could, and it could be how you were greeted at the front door.
To learn more about today's topic, call 614-306-7922. Now, back to more business talk.
All right, so we're talking today about Jeffrey Gitomer's Sales Bible, and we recommend this book. It's a great book.
It's
excellent.
really good book.
Yeah,
and he also had a book called The Little Red Book of Selling. We also like that. And we want to recommend this for you and your team. And we want you to all learn together.
Well, I think you had a great suggestion. If you have a multiple-person sales team, if it's not all you, have them read it together. And you don't have to do a book a month. You can do one a quarter and just read through the book and apply it. And some people will apply different pieces of this book. There are so many great tips in here. You just can't absorb it all.
Well, and it is good because, like, here's an example. Pete and Michelle and I, at our firm, is putting together a leadership. We have a leadership program, and it's for up-and-coming leaders. So if you have a sales manager, if yourself, if you would like to go to this leadership or
send someone,
it's $500 a month.
Right, per person.
Per person. And you go, and we do a 2-hour training or coaching
every month
with the group. And then 2 weeks after that, we do a check-in to see your application. And then the next month. So it's like you're getting coached twice a month.
Right.
And one of the things we're doing there is taking books like we are now and diving into them, but doing it slowly because it's about applying it too.
Right.
It's about, what did I learn? How did I apply? It doesn't have to be fast. So if you are interested in sending someone to our leadership, it starts in January. It's on a Thursday morning. I think January 10th is when it starts.
Okay.
It's the first Thursday of every January, and you can call us at what, Pete?
614-306-7922.
And it is January 10th is going to be our first session. And so it will be the second Thursday morning
of every month,
8 to 10. So,
excellent.
So go ahead. I interrupted our sales steps, but I wanted to make sure our audience heard that.
So the item we're talking about now is observing, and your ability to observe must be as powerful as your ability to sell and your ability to listen. So when you walk into this place of business, you want to be aware of everything that's going on around you.
I like that.
Do they have a bowling trophy up on the wall? Do they have a picture of a motorcycle? What is it that's in this person's office or conference room that could give you a clue about how you can build rapport?
That's good, because it is all about building rapport, gaining trust. And that's why he wrote his book, Little Red Book, it's a teal book of trust.
Yes, right.
So
that's right.
Because you need to have trust before you get that next step.
Okay, so the next one is dare and have the guts to take a risk. Right?
Okay.
You've got to be able to take a risk. This is number 7.
Number 7. There's 10.5. We're at number 7, and it's dare to take a risk.
It's about guts, gumption, being a nonconformist, however you want to say it. It's a used word to admire someone who takes risks, and you have to be confident, and you have to be willing to ask a question that you need to know the answer to.
That's a good point right there, because when I'm coaching salespeople, one of the things I see that happens is they get uncomfortable, so they don't want to push forward. They get uncomfortable at the emotion. They get uncomfortable at, I feel like I'm prying, and so they don't ask the tough questions that need to be asked so they can help more.
The great thing about approaching that point is that's where the biggest gains are. When you get to the point where there's some perturbation about and a disturbance about asking a question or not, this is where the big sales are made.
Right. It's the emotional part of, this is what's hurting me right now. So I like that. So that's the risk taking. Okay, good. Mm-hmm. Number 8?
Number 8, own it. Know whose fault it is when a sale's not made. And Gitomer's real blunt about this. It's you. It's all you, buddy.
It's so true, though.
Don't blame yourself. Take responsibility for it, which he flips it around. You do have to be accountable for it, but blaming yourself or beating yourself up doesn't do any good. We don't recommend beating yourself up.
It goes back to that mindset, which was number 1, which is if you're beating yourself up because you didn't do something well or you didn't get a sale, it works against you.
Yes. But if you take responsibility for it and say, hey, I'm going to learn from that, or I'm going to have a little systematic way to prepare myself better next time, that's a great thing. That actually happens.
I do like that. We do that in our firm when we know that we stumbled on something. It's generally we didn't follow our process, or we said something out of turn, or it was the wrong target. We should have never.
We asked a deep question when we hadn't gotten to that level of trust yet.
Right.
There's all kinds of things, that pitfalls.
Or because we when you want to be coached with us, you go through a qualifying process, and sometimes we allow the person who wasn't qualified. And when we say that, qualified for us means you're open to new ideas, you're willing to learn, and you want to listen. Like, if you don't want to do that, there's no sense in us talking to you. And we have talked to people who are know-it-alls and say, that doesn't work.
Right.
That's not a growth mindset.
Yep.
Okay.
And he says even to the fact of people not returning your phone calls. Well, what can you do differently to encourage them to do that?
That's
to
that
get them
ownership.
to want to do that.
That's that
Take
ownership
for it. Yep. The guy didn't return my call.
Line of choice.
If you'd left a more creative voicemail, maybe the guy would have called.
Exactly.
If your voicemail had value and purpose, they might have called.
Isn't that interesting?
So it's the reversal of blame. Okay.
I like that. Okay, that's
Take
number 8.
responsibility. Create a lesson from it.
Okay.
So it's really good. Yeah. So number 9, earn. It's sell for the relationship, not the commission. This is a really important one, and it's actually part of our values. It's about long-term relationships, not about right now. It's just not about now.
Well, and I want to go.
all.
I think this goes back to. I want to go back to the one before that was taking to own it. Is one thing that you can do in your sales meeting. I used to be a sales manager, so I ran many
you've
sales
been here
meetings.
before,
I've been
yeah.
there before. One of the things that would be really good for you to do is to go around and have and tell them ahead of time, but tell your team, hey, I want you to come back and talk about one thing that you made, like you made an error, you made a mistake, or
Sure.
share it, and then what you would do differently.
Or what you did differently.
Or what you did differently
Right.
afterwards, whatever it is. But creating that humble moment that everybody learns from, and it also allows everybody to know it's okay to make mistakes, because a lot of times we don't risk take because we're afraid of making mistakes. But if we don't risk take, if we don't make mistakes,
Right.
then we're not taking risks.
Well, and that article that we talked about at the beginning of the show is about the best companies have bosses and leaders who show humility, telling a bunch of people that, hey, I screwed this up when I did this, that, and the other.
Correct.
And this is what I learned from it. Sharing that with everybody is a great example of that.
You can even start that, make that part of your meeting.
Exactly. Because we've all done it.
yeah,
Whether we want to
right.
own up to it is a whole different story.
So getting back to, so that was number 8. Number 9, Pete, I'm sorry, we were talking
earn
about.
is in order to earn, you got to sell for the relationship, not the commission. So it's about the long-term relationship. That's what builds businesses, is long-term relationships.
Well, and we say the phrase "no for now." So if we do get a no, that might be for now. And sometimes your timing. Here's another thing: it's about their timing, not yours.
Of course,
you
yes.
want them to buy it now, but really, it might not be right.
I've
right
got
now.
both payments to make.
Yeah, I've got a house payment. I've got kids in college. One of the things I want to tell you, like we onboarded a client, and they said we have to wait 2 months. And they did. There was really a reason. We had to wait 2 months.
Okay.
And 2 months came, and we're doing it. But before then, that wouldn't have been right timing for them. They were going through
if
some.
you forced it.
Yes.
Right.
So remember, it's their timeline, not yours.
Great. And Gittimer says here, if you can make a sale, you can earn a commission. If you make a friend, you can earn a fortune. No, it's about long term.
It is.
It's about relationship. It's about long term. And if you meet their needs, great. And it's great also to say, you know what, this is not the best thing for you. You need to buy from Joe down the street, not us.
Right.
And tell them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I like that. Okay, so we're up to number 10.
Earn the relationship.
I like
so
it.
Number 10.
Number
Here we
10.
go. Prove. One testimonial is worth 100 sales pitches.
And, one of the things, I
Real
love
proof.
that. Real
Yeah.
proof. What we want you to do is when you have a very happy customer, either A, ask for a testimonial or a Google review or put it on your website or get a referral. Because your conversion rate's going to be up, way up. And, and most companies...
If someone's referred to you from a trusted friend or colleague.
Friend, right.
Yeah.
And so most of our leads come from referrals.
Right.
And so how often are you creating a system to get those referrals?
And if your business could be referral-based, it's a gold mine if you work at it.
Absolutely. You do. And you have to have a good product or service, et cetera. So that might be a tip.
And, with how good our phone cameras are nowadays, you can get a video testimonial on your camera, on your phone camera, and it's just fine.
Well, when you guys, listen, go to our website, takeactionbusinesscoaching.com. Click on at the bottom, you'll see it says testimonials.
Testimonials, yep.
We listened to Jeffrey Gittimer, and we just said, you know what? We're not going to get a fancy camera. We're just going to get it right now. We're in the moment.
And you
We're
don't
at
really
a
need
conference.
to. Yeah.
And we did it with our phone.
Right.
And we have testimonials, and it worked out great.
Yep.
So do that.
He says in every one of his seminars, he asks the audience, how many of you use video testimonials as an integral part of your selling process? He said almost no hands go up. How many of you use video testimonials on your website? He asked that, and almost no hands go up.
Which is interesting because now if you look at our website, of course, we sell with video testimonials. Sure. So before you meet with us, we guide you to our website and say, look at these categories, look at these, and then we also have case studies so that you can understand what we do.
Yeah, his suggestion, get a video camera or use your phone. Call your 5 best customers that have been buying from you for years. Tell them that you'd like them to come over, bring food, and film them for just a few minutes on why they chose you and why they use your product or service. Well,
I have to tell you, my brother, I was coaching my brother who has a company in Texas, and he was going after a multi-million dollar deal. And he had to differentiate himself from the competition and tell them why. And that's what we actually suggested. I said, go out and get a testimonial from your top 3 people. And he did it. He submitted it. Yep. And he got the business. And it was because of those testimonials he submitted. Because it was other companies talking about what he did.
Not him. Yeah.
And he won the business.
That's awesome.
Over a large national company, by the way.
Okay, last one. Now it's 10.5. Gittimer does that sometimes. He has 10.5.
10.5. What's our last one?
The half one is to become. And this is talking about you. You don't get great at selling in a day. You get great at selling day by day.
That's good.
And it's with anything that you want to work on, right?
Right.
It's a little bit at a time.
Working on yourself.
And it's about creating great habits, and it's about learning, and it's about application. So that's the last suggestion, is working on you. So what could you do yourself to get better in the next week or 2 or a month?
Well, one thing would be to get this book start reading it, and or any book or podcast, and making that a discipline of yours to make sure that you're consistently getting yourself better and challenging yourself.
You want to grow. How much are you willing to learn? And if you would like that book list, you can call us at 614-306-7922, and we'll send it to you.
This has been Business Talk, your business, your success. Sponsored by Take Action Business Coaching. The opinions expressed were those of the participants and may not be the views of the staff, advertisers, and owners of the station. Advice given was not intended to replace that of your business advisor. For more information about the topics discussed today, call 614-306-7922. 614-306-7922. Tune in next week at this time for more Business Talk, your business, your success.